The NHL is terrified that this is happening, as in a game where the Leafs came out sluggish. They came out slow. They scrape another 2 points off the board, continuing to extend their lead in the Atlantic and also approaching the best record and the most points in the NHL. The team is unbeatable right now, and things are looking insane for the Toronto Maple Leafs on the back of Joseph Woll, who stood on his head to end the game in the last 10 minutes. A rough start, a sluggish start. Darius, the Toronto Maple Leafs come out with yet another victory, and we've been saying that an awful lot as of late, and what a huge, huge win for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, pretty brutal start to this one. They only had 2 shots, I think, to, around the end of the first period. So not great. Ryan Reeves tipping in a puck into his own net. So I was like, oh, here we go. I'm going to have to hear it on the live stream tonight. But big win, big response. Couple power play goals. Power play was going tonight, so that was good to see too. And again, this is another game where you're playing a team who likes to just, grind it out and grind you down, and they pull out another win. I love the way that they're playing. Again, they extend their lead on the Florida Panthers for the Atlantic Division, and they're looking great right now. I'm loving the way that they are playing. Joseph Woll is playing great. We need to see more of him. Like, don't throw Hilde in there just to rest Joseph Woll. Keep playing him, see what he has. He looks great right now. He's battling a couple big saves there late in the third period too. So great game from the Leafs again, and they're just rolling right now. They're rolling. I'm excited to see what they can do the rest of the week. They have some interesting opponents coming up, including Vancouver, so it should be fun.
Yeah. What's up, everybody in the chat? Jim, Duster, Jose, Crank, Mark, everybody's in here. Welcome. And yeah, I mean, coming into this game, what's up, Joshua? This is a game where under Craig Berube, they win. Under Sheldon Keefe last year, they probably lose because they were not the better team for the vast majority of this game. They kept fighting. They stayed physical. And I was watching some of the Flyers broadcasts, and they said that early in the third. They said this team has a new identity under Craig Berube, and that even though they're not playing great, they're still fighting to win. And Jim will have Collins. Don't you worry about that. We will definitely get those in.
Forgot to get to that. My apologies.
But the big thing here is that even the other teams, the broadcast of the other teams are noticing in a game where the team doesn't play great, they are still throwing their body around. They don't let up. Jose with the 5. Thank you so much, Jose. Nice win by the Buds, a huge win. One of the better wins we've seen. And again, they're playing, a lot of games. They're without their 1A goalie, all these different things. Thank you again, Jose. They get the win, and it doesn't happen under Sheldon Keefe. They're playing the exact same way, whether they're down by 3, whether they're up by 3, whether they're having a good game or not. They stick with the same identity. Austin Matthews with a phenomenal game as well. And let's dive into the box score. But thank you, Jose, again for the donation. Much, much appreciated. But Austin Matthews, great game from him. Really good game. Mitch Marner, another solid game. Steven Lorentz almost had it. Matthew Nyes with the tipping goal that Mitch Marner almost took credit for, or was pretending like he tipped it in. And you have John Tavares as well. OEL throwing bodies to the ground at the end of the game. And even Philip Myers. I still like to look at that top pairing. What's up, Alistair? And Mark as well. And I'm just fired up. I mean, the team is rolling. There's no other way to put it. And with in a lot of different ways, this team looks vastly different than we've seen them look for the past decade of watching Leafs hockey, and especially over the past 8 years under Sheldon Keefe.
There's moments throughout the game, like even tonight or games, the last 2 weeks, where I'm like, there's a little bit of bad habits that they've picked up over the last couple of years with Sheldon Keefe as the coach. And again, it's not just Sheldon Keefe, but just the way that they were playing, right? Over the last couple of years, creep back in. But the overall performance has been fantastic. And again, there was times tonight where they're, putting a puck in an area where I'm like, you could have done something differently there. They're taking weird routes to pucks, right? So some of that stuff I think is still just going to be cleaned up. Like if you play the same way for 6, 7 years, it's going to become a habit. We'll get back to it.
Eric, insane. 27.99. No message. Maybe we'll hear from you for a donation message in the call-in, Eric. Your support has been unreal. And I mean, you guys' support was obviously, we're coming off of the craziest stream we've ever had. And I don't expect that. I mean, insane for 1, and 2. Thank you so much, Eric. Huge win. And yeah, the Leafs are on an absolute tear right now. There's no doubt about it. And Eric, you're on an absolute tear as well. Thank you for the 27.99. Much, much appreciated. And if you guys are happy the Leafs won, hit the like button. Let's try to get the 50 likes stream. Eric, thank you again. And hopefully we can hear from you if you're able to call in a little bit here. But I mean, this is also a road game. I mean, Joseph Woll, I kind of have his stats cut off. 32 shots attempt, 30 saves. I mean, there's a conversation to be had that they're the best team in the NHL right now, alongside a couple other teams, obviously. But I mean, they're all in here.
They're definitely one of the hottest. There's the
Everyone
heat
thank
check
Eric
is
in the
going
chat
on
as
right
well. Everyone
now.
thank Eric. Show some
Yeah,
love.
and shout out to Eric, 20th super on this on our channel.
Milestone on the road to 50.
20th. Yeah. So so thank you so much. Your sport's been unbelievable, and it's been nice to talk to you too over the phone. But yeah, they're certainly one of the best. Like they're up
Yeah.
there, top 5 in the league, right? Like the stats are speaking for themselves, and the defensive stats, the goaltending stats are the most impressive to me all season. So they've been fantastic, and I think they're slowly creeping up to first place in the league. Like if they win again, you're playing Carolina, it's going to be a tough game. You're playing
Oh, the
Vancouver.
love is being showed in back-to-back
There we
streams,
go.
Darius. This is last stream was insane. Victor, who just threw up the walls. Now Victor and Aiden Myers as well. Get it. That's 2 familiar faces in here. Jim, that one was thank you very much.
Let's
Stuart,
go.
Derek, Victor, Gavin, and Aiden. Aiden, I know you I saw you comment on the video the other day asking where the stream was. We had to take that one down, but I'm glad you were able to tune in for this one. Now, Victor, you just threw up the brick wall emote. Now you can throw up the Joseph Wall brick wall emote that members get. We're going to have new ones as well. So go ahead and throw that in there. Jim, thank you so much. Eric, again, your support's unbelievable. Shout out to you. Is the next game at home?
No, it's on
I
the
believe
road.
It's on the road again.
Yeah. Next game is on the road in Carolina, but
Thursday.
they're back home on Saturday against.
It's going to be a very, very good game against a very good Carolina team.
Yeah.
Remember, let's go, Aiden.
Carolina
I
is
Eric. I meant 30. I don't know why 50 came out of my mouth.
30.
On the road to 30.
Yeah, you're signing them up for something here,
Yeah,
Nick.
50 is absurd. I did not. I meant 30. After I said it, I was like, oh, I read the thing. I thought it said there. You're 20 is plenty, Eric. 20.
Yes.
Your 20 is.
No,
plenty.
we appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Said it overtime.
We Thursday should be good. Thursday should be good. Another tough matchup against Carolina. They've been really good this year, despite, I didn't think that they would be considering the offseason that they had, but or not the same team at least. But anyway, should be another good game. And then Vancouver. Those are always, Vancouver Saturday is going to be very interesting. Hockey Night in Canada, Vancouver Canucks. The Canadian matchups always get interesting, but
What's up, Scott?
it'll be fun. What's up, Scott? Thank you. I hope yours was great too.
It's good holidays. Joey Vesna. Well, I mean, I don't know if he's in the Vesna, race really, but he is doing very good. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it.
He's my Vesna winner. He is my Vesna winner. I'm gonna give him
3.8 save percentage tonight, and I mean the only person who noticed that we had a bad game to me was Connor Timmins.
And ironically, his first game back he hasn't played in what, 4 games? I could be mistaken. It's been a while. It's been a while. So a little bit of rust there. You know who I really like as of late? And we've been talking about him? Philippe Meyer.
Yeah.
He looks good.
Really
like
good
he's really good. Keeping it simple. I love it. In games like this, man, it makes a difference. So he's been really good, honestly. And let's see if he continues.
Aiden with the $6.99. Thank you so much, Aiden. You are now a member. You're paying for it. So thanks again, Jim, for gifting the membership, and Eric again. Thank you for your donations. Yeah, insane, Eric. Thank you, or Aiden and Eric. All the names. And Jose, of course, as well.
This is also Aiden's 5th time donating, so thank you, Aiden. Familiar name.
On the road to 50.
On the road. Everyone's on the road to 50. First donation ever. You're on the road to 50.
Thank you, Aiden.
No, I think interesting point here or question from Blake Sim. Would you is Woll the starter right now, or is Anthony Stolarz still the starter?
No, I'll give it. It'll be 1A, 1B. I mean, I think technically, Woll's the 1A right now.
Playoffs started today. Who's your starter?
I mean,
I know my answer.
If they're both healthy?
If they're both healthy, yeah. Perfect world. I mean, I would have to obviously, right?
If they're both coming off of games in the regular season?
Sure.
Then Stolarz.
But they're both coming off great performances. Woll's playing like he is now. Stolarz is playing
for me, it's still Stolarz, but
it's Stolarz for me. Yeah. I think Joseph Woll is great, but it's Stolarz, unless proven otherwise. So we'll
Connor
see.
Dewar played great as well. Gonna miss all the shout outs. You guys are the biggest Leafs channel on YouTube. We're getting there, Aiden. We're getting there.
We are getting there. But and it's all thanks to you, everyone supporting here. So you guys have been unbelievable. But
I do also
Dewar played a great game. He had a fight.
Yeah.
I did not think that was the guy
No
who
Ryan
was
Reeves
going to fight.
Shane's not here. I don't think Shane's here right now to comment on Ryan Reeves' game, which was a pretty disaster class game for him as well.
I was looking forward to Shane's comments about Ryan Reeves.
6 minutes.
As soon as he tipped that puck into the net, his own net, I was like, I am going to have a tough night here on stream. This is going to be a tough night for me. So I'm glad, I might not have to hear it from Shane today. But,
what's up, Marshall? What's up, Brad, as well? First time watching the live. Welcome. When do you think Stolarz realistically back? February 6th. I'm just going to throw that date out there. I don't even know if they have
Shout out St. Thomas. Shout out St. Thomas, home of Joe Thornton, who's on the mentors trip.
Early February.
I would say early to mid-February. I wonder if they just give him Like, I wonder if he comes back in late February. It depends what the goaltending situation's like, how Hildeby's playing, how Joseph Woll's doing. But I wonder, if it drags a little bit to the Four Nations face off or close to it, like a week before. I wonder if they're just like, you know what, man, take 3 weeks off and
It's
regroup.
possible. Oh, Robert.
Robert,
Welcome as per usual, Robert. We do appreciate all your support here. And the donation again. Started slow. I made sure to turn the super chat down for you all, but started slow, but came through in the end. Do you think Willie's headaches are back or just slumping? Oh, well, we still won, and also the Bruins lost. A good night. Are we getting close to Habs Digest? We're approaching them. The Habs are rolling, though, so they're on a roll in their respective end. But William Nylander almost had a goal tonight, and he looked better tonight than he did the previous games, even though it didn't show on the shot. Even though he had no shots on goal, so I guess he wasn't close. Maybe I was mixing it up. I swear he was close on one.
he didn't have a. No, he was, especially in the first period. Was it
Missing
the
it.
first period? I think
There's
it was the
a
first
time
period.
I'm remembering. That game was a bit of a mess, to be honest. So,
Shane's here. Shout out Shane.
Shane, I was just talking about you calling out Ryan Reeves for being bad today.
William Nylander. He takes a nap every season in either January or February. So I'm not entirely worried yet. If this gets to like 8 or 9 games, I might be worried, but I think he's gonna find it here. And some of the other lines are picking it up. And the Flyers, the way that they play, like I don't think this is about like the Leafs and some of their lines not going. It's just the way that the Flyers play, and the Leafs are able to match that and kind of continue to play their game. They come up with 2 big wins. So I think that they're doing fine. I'm gonna enjoy the wins and the way that they're playing, and I think Willie will be back to his ways because when it matters, he plays well. Like we all know that when the games really really do matter and we need him, he shows up. So he goes for naps sometimes during the season. It's okay. He's sleeping.
Thank you again, Robert, for your donation. Much appreciated. Hail and good evening, Paul. Hope you're doing well. Sorry I had to work today. Didn't see your video. Who replaced Nick Robertson? Ryan Reeves replaced Nick Robertson tonight.
Yeah. In the lineup, but the lines were kind of shaken up. Lawrence played on the third line. Had a great game. He had a breakaway.
Yeah, I saw that.
Was
pretty
interesting.
The puck was like bouncing on the ice when he had it. So I mean, he almost scored.
Yeah. Yeah, and Hathaway had a breakaway too, and he lost the puck. So I wonder if there's something with the ice there. I don't know. They're laying bricks, the 76ers are, so it could have something to do with it on that ice surface. But yeah, I don't know. Could be something with that. But I did notice that a lot of guys bobbling the puck today. But
we're also at 24 likes. 24 likes. Try to get to 50. Jim is waiting to call in. I'll let Jim. I'm gonna get Jim in here. Yep. And if you do want to call in, again, the number at top, Eric. If you're still in here, feel free to call in. Anyone else, Shane, whoever wants to call in, feel free to call in as well. Members get priority. What's up, Crunchy? Hope you're doing well. The vibes are electric right now. Very excited, and we'll get into Ryan Reeves and maybe Jim or Shane will want to call in. But Paul with a 10. Paul, hold on, Jim. Give me a second. Paul with a 10. Another clutch win for Leafs. I do love beating John Tortorello. Paul, thank you very much. Your support. I see you in here at almost every stream, and thank you.
Jim, at least Reeves, unlike Robertson, had a goal tonight. That's hilarious. I love that.
Yeah, Blake, I got you.
Thank you, Paul, for your donation, by the way. Big win. It's always fun beating figures like Torts.
Paul, thanks again. Thank you very much. Your support is incredible as well. All your guys' support is great. All right. Yeah, Eric, we got you for the call at the end for the 3 stars. We will definitely rock
Blake.
Or Blake. What did I say? I always mix up the names.
Eric. A lot of regulars in here.
Do you guys think we'll see Refine next game? Yes, I do.
Ooh, very possible. Although it is against that's tough. I don't think so, but I could see maybe Saturday. It depends how long.
I hated Connor Timmins' game. Brutal turnover. Let it go.
Tough,
it is what it is. And again, if you want to call in towards the high Blockbuster, and Jim, welcome, and another Leafs win.
Gentlemen, how are you doing tonight?
Fantastic. A+ right now. A+.
So good. Yeah, I'm doing great too. And you know what? Despite this game tonight, which, you know what, I'm really happy to get the win. So we're going to start off on a real positive note, which was I went into this game expecting a war, given some of the things that transpired in the last one with Domi's elbow, and then all the stuff that happened with McCabe. So I was a little surprised that it was Connor Dewar, of all guys, that stepped up and actually had a really good showing in that fight. But you know, the Leafs now have 5 wins in a row. So, and many of these games, as I think you guys kind of touched on, these are games that they typically would have lost. You know, they would have given a reason to lose these games, and yet they're in them. And these tight games are like not the intensity, guys, but like in terms of like it being low scoring, low event games. This is playoff style hockey. So I love that in a way, Berube already has them playing a style that will easily translate to possible playoff success. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Definitely think so. I think that the way that they're playing, again, these games, if they were in a game like this one tonight or even the other night against the Flyers last year, they lose that game. We saw it time and time again last year. So the way that they're playing and what Berube has them doing is translating to not only wins in the regular season, because I thought they would maybe take a step back in the regular season this year, but that's certainly not the case. They're even better than they ever have been in this era. And I think it's going to translate perfectly to the playoffs like we've never seen it before. So I'm really excited about that. And the other thing I've noticed as well is even when they do lose, even when they win, there's no excuses this year. Like there's no, we lost this game because it was the second half of a back-to-back, or we lost this game because there's 3 Marlies in the lineup. It's just, you know what? Like these guys were not good tonight. We need to be better in these areas. And then they fix those areas. They fix those things. So it's really refreshing for me in that way that there's no excuses when they lose. And even when they win, Berube is not afraid to be like, hey, you know what? Morgan Rielly tonight wasn't great. And for these reasons, and we're going to fix it. So I love everything about this season so far.
Yeah, and I think too, Darius. Typically in the past, you would see these. When the Leafs played teams like they did tonight against Philadelphia, often these would be the teams that they would you would expect them to win, and then they would take a dive and they would give away 2 points or more. And they put up an interesting stat or a sheet up during the game. I'm not sure if you guys saw it, but it was really interesting to me. I took a picture of it, and it really says a lot. It was comparing last year mid-season performance to this one, and it was basically comparing wins, goals against, penalty percentage, and then another one versus our Atlantic and 1-goal games. And the one that really stood out to me was the goals against. So last year at this time, same number of games, we'd given up 134 goals against. This year, 113. This is exactly why Berube is there, to instill this system of defense first, because I keep, I'll ring this bell until I can ring a cup. But at the end of the day, this is the kind of stuff we need to see in order for this team to be successful in the playoffs. Anyways, we have a bunch of other stuff to go through. So Matthews, I want to say Matthews is officially back. I know he's been back for a few games, but in terms of he obviously had a goal tonight, but his hands, his foot speed, and just that shock and awe kind of move that he pulled off, I think it was the 10-minute mark of the third, that inside-outside move. Wow, that's the stuff that gets people out of their seats and literally had my jaw dropping. And that was what I wasn't sure whether he was physically able to do right now, given some of his ailments. And he is back, and he looks absolutely amazing. I am so pumped with him. And then other positives, Woll's performance. No one's touched on that yet. Wow. You know what? Yes, he gives out rebounds, and I'm the first one to point that out. But especially all throughout the game, I thought he was pretty steady, and for his rebound control, he gained. I think he had a lot better control than I would expect. And that said, even in the overtime, there was times where they were in that when they pulled the goal, not the overtime, in the when they pulled the he was just getting shelled. And there was a time where he had 3 stops inside of a period of about 30 seconds. And these are all 10 bell stops. I'm impressed. And this guy is for real. And I think the fact that someone mentioned in the chat earlier, the fact that he has, we have him, and then we have another goaltender that's arguably better. Wow. I've said it before on the broadcast, guys, so just indulge me for a minute. I think I'm going to say it officially now. This, in my lifetime of cheering for this team, which is over 43 years now, this is arguably the best and most prepared team for a deep playoff run that I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I agree. I think I'm right there. I said over the past 8 years. Again, I'm younger. I'm younger than you are, but it's the best team that I've seen. And Joseph Woll's on fire. He's playing very well. Even games he looked a little bit shaky, he's finally starting to settle in. And Matthews is back. I think he's looked really good since returning from his injury. The team is rolling. He obviously had a goal and assist tonight, and the offense is pretty lackluster all the way around. They didn't muster many shots. OEL led the team in shots, which is pretty funny there, but. Yeah, the team is complete. They're playing fantastic hockey, and to think that Anthony Stolarz is going to come back here soon, and they're going to have that tandem, and then Jake McCabe's going to come back and be healthy. It's going to be tough to push out. You're going to have Myers, and I think they're going to keep Myers in, so Myers, Rielly, and then you add McCabe to that instead of obviously Connor Timmins, and they're going to continue to improve, I think. And this is not even counting who they add at the deadline, because David Kamp's been playing good. Connor Dewar's been playing good. Every single player has been playing good. And this might be the last time that last game they played might be the last time we see Pontus Holmberg play for the Toronto Maple Leafs as well, which is a discussion that over the next few weeks is going to be heavy as well.
And that's a great point, Nick. I mean, listen, I know you guys are probably tight on time, and I don't want to run my mouth too much here, but that's a great point you've made, in the sense that, like, it's easy to forget that some of the players aren't even in the lineup. So yeah, Holmberg, but you've also got Yarncroft. You've got there's a lot of guys that even I have kind of forgotten that are even in the line. Then now, given the success they're enjoying now, these guys can all be potentially thrown in as a trade, and we can keep our young assets that are still developing, like everyone knows who they are, but so we don't have to give those guys up. I also just want to say on the positive, I think Morgan Rielly needs some praise. He's struggled this year at times offensively and at times even defensively, but I think he's really started to find his groove again. He's at 2 games in a row, I believe, where he's got a goal. He's I like his game. I've always liked his game. He's the longest standing member of this organization that he's been for the current time, and he's earned a lot of respect. And tonight, he's in the last couple games, he's played and Rielly that I think most Leaf fans really have loved over these years. And that's all for me, boys. Go Leafs, go! I gotta say it, guys. I'm not here to pump your tires, but the best Leafs broadcast. I absolutely love this. So for anyone that's listening right now that's in the chat and you're new to the channel, I'm telling you, you have found the best. Go nowhere else. Guys, that's all for me. Have a great night.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Night. Hopefully we'll see you on Thursday for a big game against the Hurricanes.
You absolutely will. Cheers, guys. Have a good night.
Take it easy.
Take care.
Jim, as always, great takes and positivity, which is what we want to see. We also have another pending column, which we'll get to in a couple moments here. I think a new caller. I'm not 100% sure. It could be Eric. Don't have the numbers fully memorized. But anything you want to touch on from his points there? I mean, there's good points. The team looks great. And we can also get to some chat questions as well.
I would like to defend like what he was saying, Morgan Rielly, because I've had so many people. I've had conversations over the last couple of weeks in person with some friends, people that I know. I see it on Twitter, I see it online. They've been talking about it on TV. Morgan Rielly, right? He's not living up to his contract. All of this stuff. He's not producing offensively. He's not great defensively. This guy has been here the longest. He understands what it means to be a Toronto Maple Leaf. Do we forget 2023? This guy was the only guy scoring goals in the playoffs, it seemed, throwing everything on the line. He was getting into fights. He wants to be here. He wants to win as a Maple Leaf. He has been asked to play with a different defense partner every single year that he's been here. He does it. He's doing it again this year. Like, he's the guy. I feel like he's not so good, not a lead or anything like that, but I feel like they trust him to put anybody with him. Like this year, we're seeing it. Hakanpää comes into the lineup, you're playing with Rielly. Myers comes into the lineup, you're playing with Rielly, right? So we keep seeing this. So I do want to defend Morgan Rielly. I think that he is fantastic. And I've always been a big fan of his. And I think that, if you look at other contracts around the league, Darnell Nurse, for example, I think 7.5 is fine for Morgan Rielly. He brings a lot to the table, and he's he's a stable player for you. He solidifies your defense a little bit. You can kind of throw anybody in there. I think that he could use a, Luke Shen type, but anyway, I want to defend, I just want to give Morgan Rielly his flowers, because I think, has he been elite this year? No, but I think that he catches way more flack from fans than he should.
Yeah. I've been critical of him. He's been pretty bad, but now he's starting to play good again. So I'll pump his tires when it is needed. Jim is the man. We're also 9 likes away from 50. Eric saying, well said, not sure I can top that. I think this might be Eric waiting in the waiting room. We will confirm. I'm going to mute as per usual just to make sure that it is Eric. And Eric, I will have this number memorized if this is you. And again, if you want to call in, feel free to do it. Make sure to hit the like button. Any questions in chat, continue to shoot them, and we're going to go over some things as well. I see all of you in there. Crank is all. What's up? Okay, Darius, you're muted for the moment. Hello, Eric, is this you?
It's me.
Okay, I got the number memorized now. I gotta make sure so I don't have to mute before you for future ones. How you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Perfect. So, Jim obviously had some thoughts, and obviously I'm excited to hear your thoughts. Obviously, we're coming off a huge game, huge win vibes are high, first of all, as well. Thank you for your donation once again. Your support has been unbelievable. I personally appreciate it, and I'm loving the Leafs wins here.
Yeah, anytime, guys. It's a pleasure to get some donations. It's an awesome podcast. Love it to death. It gets the work day by super fast when you guys do your videos. But unfortunately, I didn't get to hear Jim's take. I was make sure the kids were in bed here, but back on the stream here. But it was a good game. What stuck out to me the most, I'm not sure if Jim brought it up, was Morgan Rielly. He had a bad game here today. I believe a lot of turnovers. The power play specifically. I'm not sure if you guys agree, but he didn't have a solid game, I find.
I think, well, I guess you're giving me the reins here, Nick,
I'll let you
but
have this
Yeah.
I just got off defending Morgan Rielly on the stream, but I think that's more of an overall thing. I think that, yes, this season he's had bad games. I will say that, right? But I think overall he's been a defenseman that has been able to come in here and he plays with a different defense partner, it seems, every quarter of every season. And every season for that matter. Anybody new that comes in, they stick him with Morgan Rielly because they know that, you know, they're going to be fine if they play with him. I think that he has struggled on the power play, and I don't know if it's his fault. Like, I feel like he shouldn't be there. Like, with what the Leafs have in terms of firepower and what they added, he just shouldn't be on the first power play unit. And, you know, should be, you know, some of his ice time, if you were to save it from him being on the power play, it could go to other places, maybe even the penalty kill. I don't know, right? Maybe try him there. But I would like to defend him. I think that he's been okay this season, and I do think compared to some of the other cap hits around the league that he is fair value for his cap hit. But again, he did not the greatest game, and he's not having, certainly not his best season.
Well, that's probably what I'm looking at too much is the cap hit. You know, when they signed OEL and Tanev to the beginning of the season, the hype was the stress on Morgan Rielly. All these minutes are going to be less on him, so maybe he can be back to how he was when he had Shen with him as a partner in the playoff that year. He did well. Just for $7.5 million, like this year, he hasn't been the Morgan Rielly we've known. Not that I'm disappointed of it, but for $7.5 million, you got OEL. Like, I think he should be quarterback on the power play to start. I know the Leafs gave him a chance when Matthew was out for the 9 games or so, like the power play were kicking, but I was surprised they went back to the 5 forwards tonight. That seemed to click, but again, for $7.5 million, you got less load on your back. You should be producing a bit more. I know he had a goal yesterday. He was due. I think it was 20-some games that he hasn't had a goal. But at the end of the day, boys, the Leafs are winning. They're undefeated so far in January. It's good. Next thing you know, it's going to be the 4 Nations, and then Stolar is going to be back with us. That's going to be a positive thing for the Leafs. And now we just got to face off the next schedule here again. I think it's against Carolina or next game, and go from there.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of Morgan Rielly's play this year. Tonight, power play was rough. He did assist the game-winning goal, which was obviously nice. You like to see that. But at the end of the day, the Leafs are winning. Their blue line is arguably something top in the NHL. They're very good, especially when fully healthy. So the cap hit is a little rough. That being said, he is asked to do a lot, so I give him some credit there. But I like to see him continue to ride this. Obviously, goal last game, assist this game. Continue to ride that a little bit, get more comfortable, and maybe we found something with him and Philip Myers, and that can stick together so they don't have to change up as much, especially following Philip Myers' extension there. But any final thoughts, Eric?
Yeah, just one question for you boys. Top of your head here, if the Leafs were to trade Morgan Rielly for anyone, would you think that would make an impact on the Leafs decor?
For any player, you mean?
Yeah, like if we were to get rid of Morgan, would you think that would be a big loss for the team? Like, obviously, we'd have to get a defense back, but say they were to trade just for fun, Morgan for, Miller, and we find another D, whether it's Shen or whatnot. Like, if we replace him, do you think that's a big loss for the Leafs if they were to trade Rielly?
Well, I will start off by saying this, and I will tease this, that we are going to have a video similar to this tomorrow. So stay tuned for that if everyone's in the chat. But in
Perfect.
terms of that, I said, during the summer, I said that the Leafs had an opportunity this summer to, if they wanted to move Mitch Marner or even Morgan Rielly, they could really not blow things up, but change things up. They have an opportunity to move a lot of money out the door and kind of get a bunch of bodies in and really just bolster the defense if they wanted to. They didn't end up going that route. But for me, I feel like people sometimes, and I get into it too, look at contracts and names too much. I think for me, Morgan Rielly is a guy who's been here the longest out of anybody on this team. He knows what it means to be a Maple Leaf. He wants to win with the Maple Leafs. Like, you could see it in the playoffs, especially the one year where he had Shen as his defense partner. He went off. He had a great playoff. Like, a lot of people were calling for him to be the captain after that, right? So, to me, I think that he's a guy I think that you can win with, and he wants to win here. So I wouldn't trade him. And I'm not sure you get better right now, at least. Maybe if you wait till the offseason, you get better if you do trade him.
I'm going to jump in quickly.
Absolutely.
I'm just so I can get my thoughts out real quick. I do think that the team, it depends obviously who you give up, but this team is one of the best in the NHL right now. I don't see a world where they want to mess with this blue line core. They might add somebody in to, help a little bit. I don't think they're even going to add a blue liner, but I think they don't want to mess up. I don't think Morgan Rielly's having a great season by any means, but I think when it comes to that, they want to keep that rolling. The blue line's playing really, really good. And I'm seeing some chatter about Rielly for Pedersen and things like that. The team is arguably the best team in the NHL right now, one of the hottest teams in the NHL. I think they're going to keep riding with that.
Oh, yeah, we don't want Pedersen. Like I said, Rielly's a playoff guy, 100%. The one thing we're going to add before I head out, trade Reeves. We got Connor Dewar, boys. He is the new fighter of the Leafs. Let's go. He's not afraid to drop the mitts. And Reeves is all hyped to be in there to go against Hathaway. Didn't even happen. Super disappointed in that guy this year so far. His play's been garbage. Trade the guy. We got Connor Dewar. Let's go, boys.
I agree. Eric, thank you as always for calling in, and thank you again for the donation as well. Hopefully we'll see you on Thursday for the stream, and stay safe and have a great evening.
Always a pleasure, Nick, Darius. Till next time. Thanks, boys.
Take it easy.
Thank you, Eric. Take care.
Couple donations to catch up on here. I did see it. Jose, we love you guys. We love you too. Thank you, Jose. I saw that. Your support. Jose, you've been around for a very long time. Like a lot of you guys, recognize a lot of the loyals, a lot of the regulars. You're all loyals if you're in here. You're all loyals. Yeah. Robert, and thank you again, Jose. Robert with the 5. Woll gets the game belt. Dewar gets the heavyweight belt. Leafs win. Bruins lose. What could be better? Don't know if it matters, but Rielly has a newborn. There's also the personal side of things, and ultimately, the team is rolling. Thank you again, Robert. We really do appreciate the donation, both Robert and Jose. I did see it. Wanted to finish the column there, but Eric, thank you again.
Robert might have a point there. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was the first year that Tavares had his firstborn, I think, and he did not have a great year, if I'm remembering that correctly. So maybe there is something to that. I don't know. Benoit just had a kid too in training camp, right? So a lot's been made out of his play this season as well. Although I do think his play is more because of them upgrading the defense core compared to last year. So I feel like our baseline last year was a lot lower. And Jim, in regards to your comments as well, sometimes, and I've been saying this, maybe the Mitch Marner, possible trade could have been like a Kawhi Leonard situation, but the Raptors did win a championship in the first year that they had a new coach, and the Leafs, this is the first year they have a new coach. So we'll see what happens, and then we'll make some drastic moves.
Yeah. With Matthews and Tavares, Leafs already have 2 solid centers. So trading Rielly would be foolish for a third-line center. Yeah, I think if they traded for a third-line center, it would be pick-oriented with Nick Robertson or someone else. As we do have another call-in, and I'll take that in a minute. Again, I don't recognize this number, so we're gonna. I'm always a little bit apprehensive now, but we'll get that in a minute. There's a couple chats I wanted to read here. People underestimate Rielly's leadership. That's some Jim. Rielly's a huge part of every day, but as we learned, I got that. Someone's basically we're talking about underestimating big time leadership wise. Crankbait. I agree. I mean, I don't think they want to mess anything up regarding the blue line. Now, again, I think they're going to add a third line center. There is some things there and some things to be said about that, but regarding the blue line tonight, I mean, they won. It was last game, right? Where the blue line was had most of the goals. It was there's so many games. Now. It was last game, probably.
OEL and Rielly.
Yeah, so it's back-to-back games now where the blue line played really well. Obviously, a couple points tonight. Better defensively tonight. You do have Yanni Hakanpää. You have Philip Myers. You have Marshall Rafai. A lot of things going on right now, and obviously, Mitch Marner was solid again tonight as well. Is the impact scorecard out by chance? Just curious.
No, I checked. They're slow on that again.
Okay.
Although they've been updating the games tonight, so
Maybe we'll grab it.
I think it's coming at some point.
Who would be on our trade block?
I feel like they're purposely not posting the Leafs ones now for some
Seems
reason,
like it.
because there's games after that have been up.
The most likely to be traded is Pontus Holmberg and Nick Robertson. I feel like those are the two guys that are most likely. I mean, maybe like Connor Timmins in some crazy world, but doubtful. It is Blake. Okay, it is Blake. That Blake is the number. Who would be?
Well, Blake, we did promise Blake.
Yeah,
I will say this
3 stars.
last stream that he would be on for the 3 stars. So I'm excited for this.
I am as well. If anyone else wants to call in before we get to the 3 stars, this is your chance. If not, we had some great call-ins tonight from Jim and Eric. Shane, get Revo out. Yeah, I mean, Darius, I don't know if you want to talk on that real quick. A little 6-minute night for him. So
Yeah, he normally plays like what, 8, 9.
Yeah.
This is a tough one for him. Listen,
4 hits though, sufficient. Hit a minute almost.
I'm of the opinion that hockey can be weird sometimes. Like, I was totally expecting a fight tonight, right? Whether Hathaway tried to injure Jake McCabe or not, which I don't think he did. It definitely wasn't intentional. I was expecting a fight tonight. From Connor Dewar, not really. Although if you look at the past, Connor Dewar isn't afraid to drop the gloves, which I love. And the fact that he did it tonight is awesome, because somebody was going to go tonight. But Ryan Reeves didn't. And I've been saying that he's kind of the diffuser. There was nothing diffused tonight. So this is the first time that I can say this season, I'm not too sure about what Ryan Reeves was in the lineup to do tonight. And I don't think he had much of he definitely had an impact. He scored the first goal for the Flyers. But other than that, not much going on there. But I mean, it's one game. It's one game. So I do think that he still has use. And until there's multiple games like this one, we'll see. But again, I think earlier in the season specifically, he's a diffuser. He's in there because, if you run around against the Toronto Maple Leafs, you're going to answer to Ryan Reeves. But I feel like he has to get in a fight soon this season, or else teams might start running around because they're just going to call his bluff, especially with this situation, the last 2 games. So we'll see how this plays out when they play heavier teams coming up here. But again, he wasn't good today. I don't think he did much. Didn't play much.
He sucked.
I can admit that.
He sucked.
Yeah, he was terrible.
Because he also scored a goal
on
but
his
on the
own
wrong side. I mean, I think I think the difference this year is, I mean, I do agree with you that he has value, but like the team is so tough now on their own. Like, it's almost needed less. You have Connor Dewar, you have everybody playing tough. Even Max Pacioretty throws his body around every game. So it's like, in the past, they were so soft. Now it's like they already have the toughness instilled from Craig Berube, so they're setting the tone rather than letting other teams, which makes Ryan Reeves, I mean, less valuable to a degree, especially when you have Connor Dewar coming out and fighting. Now, I mean, he's
setting the tone,
and he's playing really good hockey. So, and he only played 7 minutes tonight. So it's interesting. I saw someone say Austin Matthews and I think it was Jim. Austin Matthews and Matthew Nyes, yeah, they are great together. They're both playing. I mean, before Austin Matthews came back, Matthew Nyes was on a bit of a rough patch there. So
they're great together.
Now they're back. And Mitch Marner, Mitch Marner isn't scoring still very much, but he's playing good on that line as well. I think he, I don't know. The only player who I've noticed kind of fall off in the past few days is Bobby McMann. Hopefully he can continue. He's not playing bad hockey, but I'd like to see him get back. He thrives more when the Stars are out, it seems.
Yeah, it seems that way. And it's not that he's playing bad. He's playing, especially the last game against the Flyers, the first of the home and home, uninspired hockey. Like, some of his shifts are just like he's just out there to just do. It's just muscle memory. Like, he's just chipping the puck in. He's going to do his thing, whatever. So he's got to play, I don't know, he's got to find some purpose. He's got to play some inspired hockey. That's kind of what I'm seeing from him. But I think he'll get there. This team kind of goes in waves, and I think that's
and
fine.
Nylander as well. He's been a bit slow, but he always does that this time of year.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that he'll be fine. And some other guys are pulling their weight, right? So Matthews and Marner, you hope that they don't. But if they do go away for a game or two, you're hoping that Nylander is the one who's going to score the 2 goals, 3 goals. Maybe it's Pacioretty or whatever, or Bobby McMann, right? The third line might come alive, Max Domi. That's what good teams do. So I'm seeing that this season from the Leafs. So I'm not worried, because not everyone can score every single game. So as long as they're not losing and they look egregious, I'm all right with their play this year.
Nyes will play good with anyone. He's a hard worker. I do agree, but he did not play good on that second line with different line mates for a little bit there. So, or at least he wasn't scoring. I still think he has his value. He's a power forward, all these different things. But I do think, especially as he develops, he'll be even better. I mean, keep in mind, he's barely 22 years old. So it's, which is crazy to think about that. I'm older than Matthew Nyes, and he's out here being one of the better power forwards in the NHL.
Feels like he's just been around forever. That's the problem. Like it's just he's already played. This might be his third
he came in
NHL
at
season,
19, right? So
19, I feel like, yeah. Well, he came in 2023 playoffs, so it was the 22-23 season. So he's already been around for a while.
Either way,
he was 20 years old, yeah.
And now he 35 point last year. And Darius, we'll go back and look at our stream from the start of the year when you had your predictions. I think your Mitch Marner prediction is aging very well regarding his 100 points. He's on track for 113, I think.
Yep.
113. Call me crazy when my gut is saying that we'll get Jonathan Toews the third center for cheap for this year. Very possible. We'll probably have another video on that again, like as things start to heat up. Very possible.
Rumor has it he's skating and he wants to make a comeback, but there's a deadline to make a comeback this year. And apparently a lot of teams are poking around with his agent.
What a weird team that would be. Max Pacioretty and Jonathan Toews in the same team on the Leafs in 2025.
If you told me that in 2010,
if you told me that last year,
right? Fair enough. So that would be weird, but that would be, man, that could be a recipe for success.
With the 699. Leafs are winning these great games. I'm so used to losing to the crappy teams. Nice to see the change. Scorp, thank you so much for the 699. Very much appreciated. They're winning. They're winning games against mid teams. They're winning games against bad teams. They're winning games against good teams. March 7th is the deadline. Yeah, and as it approaches, that's going to be a crazy time. We'll be live, of course, going over this as the deadline is happening, which is always something fun to do. But yeah, I mean, I think Max Pacioretty's playing good too. Like the points are slowed down a little bit, but his role is his role, and he's playing it well. It's very rare that he costs. He had a penalty that was a little bit almost costly, luckily. But like, I still like the way that he's playing as a whole. He sets the tone pretty well.
They're also riding the line a lot this year. Like they're playing way more physical, right? So the refs are going to take exception to that in in ways this year that they didn't last year. So also, I hope Scott Lawton's okay. Cause future Maple Leaf Scott Lawton with the collision tonight. So hopefully he's okay. Yeah, hopefully.
Also, want to throw this out there. I've been seeing people talk about it, and I'm losing my train of thought. So I'll remember it in a second here. But. Continue to speak because it's about I had it. It was
just an ugly collision. Hopefully he's okay because he's going to be playing big minutes for the Maple Leafs.
I got it back. Okay, it took me a second. Reading the chat is hard to manage your thoughts. I've seen a lot of Leafs fans talking about this, and Darius, I'm curious to see what you say. Do you guys like or dislike that Craig Berube always puts out, or most of the time, the fourth line after a goal? I saw some Leafs fans being upset about it, saying, Berube seems so calculated, great coach, and then he puts out the fourth line and they always get pinned. Happened a couple times tonight. So in the chat, do you guys like when he does that, or do you think he should go with whatever other line rather than the fourth line? I'm curious.
So, okay. I know what the answer is going to be in the chat. It's going to be, I hate it. No, because I see it all over the place. And I think it's a great point that you brought this up because I see it all over the place. Every coach does this. Maybe not the younger coaches or newer coaches to the league, right? Because they have all these new ideas and they want to go about things a little bit differently. Every coach does this. And I actually think it's a good idea if the fourth line responds properly because it's on the fourth line. That is their job. They have to go out, start throwing the body around because momentum shifts very quickly in hockey. If you put on a line that's kind of flat and the other team continues to build off that momentum, you could go down 2 goals. They could get 2 goals, 3 goals here very quickly. So I think it's the right move. They should be flying out there, throwing the body around. They know their role right after a goal is scored. If they don't do that, it's on the fourth line. I don't think it's the coach putting the fourth line out because a lot was made out of that in last year's playoffs too. You have a job to do if you're on the fourth line. You know what you're out there to do after a goal against. So I like it. I agree with it. Every coach does it. It's not just a Toronto thing. So they know their job and they got to do it. So most coaches do it. And I think it's a good thing. It's
iffy for me. I think it's worse when Ryan Reeves is in the lineup because he's not as good of a hockey player. However, today specifically, I think it would have been, it was after Austin Matthews made it 2-2. There was a rough fourth line shift. Obviously, a pin for a lot of the time there. I think that, it's a thing that happens. You obviously need to have faith in your fourth line, and it's working to a degree. And the question becomes, in playoffs, are they going to continue to do that? We saw that with Keith last year, and very vividly against the Boston Bruins last year. There were times it bit them, and they probably will go to it. So I don't love it, but I mean, it works at times. And tonight, it was just something I'm interested in. It's predictable, and I think it's a lot easier to do when Steven Lorentz is on that fourth line.
The reason they do it, yeah, 100%. Lorentz is perfect for that, actually, that role. But the reason they do it is because when you're, again, like I mentioned, the momentum swings, right? So if you throw out your fourth line, the fourth line's able to calm things down quickly by chipping it into their zone and getting a couple checks in, slowing the game down. By the time you get the next rotation out where you're getting your first line, second line back out there, you might catch the other team on their heels, right? That's kind of the idea. It doesn't always go that way.
And we saw
It
it,
is
I think,
sports.
second game of the season against the Devils. I don't know if it led to a goal, but we saw them
Yeah,
respond quickly, the fourth line. I don't know if it was after a goal
exactly.
even, but it was. I specifically remember the second game of the season. But either
I
way,
think it was the first goal, actually. I think it
of
was
the year was
the fourth line scored. Yeah, something like that. So Lorenz got it, or
it
maybe the
was
second goal of the year, but something like that. So I do think it's the right idea. A lot of people complain about it, and maybe it doesn't make sense. It does make sense because you don't want to throw your second line out there. Then the momentum, uh, they're not out there to check. They're out there to score. So the crowd's on you. Let's say it's an away game in the playoffs, and obviously the other team's is going. If they're in your zone, you might get scored on again. So I do understand it. You want to get some checks in there. You want to get the game maybe slow down a little bit. So it makes sense to me, but it doesn't always go that way. But that's sports.
I think
right?
it makes
So,
sense. I still don't know if I like it, but I
fair.
mean, the Leafs are absolutely on a tear right now. And Jim had a
Good
very
conversation
interesting
piece.
stat. Yeah, it is a good conversation piece. Jim, where's your stat? I lost
It
it.
is.
It's good though.
I saw it. That was actually quite
It
interesting.
was
too.
yeah. It's about one goal. Got it.
So
You got it.
yeah, okay, there you go.
Last season in one goal games, 10, 2, and 8, which is crazy. Is that right? 8? I guess it makes sense.
Overtime
Yeah, I
losses,
guess it
yeah.
makes sense.
Oh,
for
yeah,
one of
yeah,
those. This
yeah.
year, 8, 1, and 2. And they're basically finishing the games. A few of those have obviously been in overtime, but a lot of them are just. I mean, it's a product of the defense being better, the goaltending being better. So on games where they're not playing great offense, like tonight, they still scrape out wins because their goaltending is that elite and their blue line is some of the best in the NHL. That's where I think a lot of it comes from. The best, the blue line upgrades and the goaltending upgrades.
But they're part of a team, right? So they went out and they knew that they needed to upgrade these positions. They did that, and I mean, it's paying off huge this year. I don't feel like it's an automatic loss every time they go to overtime this year, and that's
I was
that's
excited
refreshing.
actually for
So
overtime tonight. It's always exciting,
it was looking like it was
but
getting there, right?
I'd rather
But
regulation win.
But it was like dread last year, the last couple of years. Like, oh my God, another game's gonna go to overtime. We are going to lose this game in the most heartbreaking fashion for some reason, right? So it's a welcome change, I think, this year. They've been fantastic, and
Also,
um,
I need to fact check this because I know in the last stream we were saying the Leafs were 9-1 in the
they're
last 10, which was incorrect.
8-2, I believe. They're 8
Or
and
7
2.
and 3. It was something. Because I fact checked it today. And now, including tonight, in their last 10, they've won 5 in a row. But
Mhm.
they are 5-1, 6-1, 6-2, 6-3. Yeah, they're 10-3 now in their last 13. Because they had the
Not bad.
the little mini losing streak there. But since the Christmas break, they've lost one game, and it was against the Capitals.
Washington?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So playing phenomenally. They're 10-3 in the last 13. But more importantly, as we look at the standings, the team is fantastic. I mean, they are.
Top.
I don't know if it's updated yet. I don't think it might be. I think it is updated. So they're now 5th in the NHL, but they are tied for 3rd. Now, the Capitals and the Wild have a couple games in hand here, but they're tied for 3rd, 56 points. They are 2 points back of the Winnipeg Jets, who are also going to win and have won. They're actively going to win tonight. So they beat the Predators. I don't know how updated all this stuff is, but we're almost there. But I don't really care about the President's Trophy. I care about winning the Atlantic and hopefully winning the East, which was
Yes.
my prediction before the season, is that they were going to win the East.
I would almost prefer not to win the President's Trophy because of the curse that comes with that. So as long as they win the Atlantic, you cannot have a divisional playoff spot this year. You do not want to play the Bruins, even though they might fall into a wild card spot at this point. You might end up playing them
Free
anyway.
falling right now. 5 in a row
Yes.
lost.
Brutal. So you just win the Atlantic. You give yourself the best opportunity to play a team that might be in free fall, that might not be playing that well. The Montreal Canadiens are I know what happened in 2021, believe me, but they're in a playoff spot right now. You want to give yourself the best chance possible to not play, the Florida Panthers. So do that. And I mean, in terms of Reeves, because a lot of people are putting in the chat, in the playoffs, you'll see Ryan Reeves games 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, depending on the series. And then after that, get your popcorn ready, buddy, because we will not be seeing you for the rest of the series. So
Might even be less than that this year. It might be less.
we'll see how the series
It also
goes,
depends
right?
who they
And
get.
they're playing.
It also depends who
Yes.
they get, who
Yes.
they're playing. I mean, there's a world he doesn't touch multiple games if they go out. It's a very different. I don't know. I just have more faith in the team to be physical and not get bodied around this year under Craig Berube. Maybe they won't see the need, but it also depends how Ryan Reeves plays. Because if the playoffs started today, would you put him in the lineup?
Ryan Reeves?
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends who you're playing, right? So if you're playing Tampa Bay, I feel like maybe that might not be a great
Bruins.
example.
We can
But
just
if
use the
you're,
classic.
yeah, if you're using the Bruins, like, yes, he's playing in the first couple games. Yes.
Probably.
If you're playing a smaller team, maybe not as physical of a team, then maybe he doesn't play. It depends on the matchup, but I still think Ryan Reeves in the playoffs will probably play at least the first 2-3 games, and then you won't see him after that because the games get tighter. So, unless there's injuries, of course. So, we'll see how that plays out. But
So shout out to the over 100 of you in here. That's
yeah,
we're loving it. Almost at 60 likes. Try to get to 75 if you're in here and you like the Leafs winning the games. Also, they are 6 points now ahead of the Panthers, which they have 1 game in hand on the Panthers. The Lightning, they have 4 games in hand on the Lightning, so like a bit of weird things going on. But 6 points.
They have 4 games in hand on the Lightning, or the opposite?
Other way around. I guess they played 4 more games than the Lightning. The Lightning have 4 games in hand on them. So, like, I mean, that's crazy to me. They are now. There was a time where, I mean, for some reason, I always remember the 6-6 start because I remember the vibes were low, 6-6.
Yeah.
They are. If they continue to play this way, they are going to secure the Atlantic, and they are comfortably ahead. And the only team that scares me in the Atlantic right now is the Florida Panthers, and even them, they've been falling a little bit. And I would love to see the Leafs play the Canadians. I would love it. I know it's cursed. Just give it to me though. Inject the vibes for these streams and just the vibe in general. I think they would. I'm gonna put this right here, right now. Someone can clip this for however months down the line. If the Leafs play the Habs, they sweep them.
I think,
and it's not close.
I think the Leafs are much more mature than the last time they played them, and the Habs were a much more mature team at that time, minus a few guys. So I do think that it's more likely that it goes that way. I would much rather, for my own sanity, like, I do not want to play the Bruins anymore.
I agree.
Forget the whole Slay the
just
Dragon
watch something
thing.
Different.
I just want to watch something different.
65 likes. You guys are 10 away. You guys are crazy. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. You know, I just want to watch something different. I would much rather play the Senators are in the mix, Montreal Canadiens are in the mix. And the other thing I think is interesting is the Bruins, while still being in a playoff spot, free falling right now. 5 in a row. They're losing to bad teams as well, minus the Leafs. And the Senators and the Habs are on the rise. The Habs are playing amazing hockey right now. It looks like they just found their goaltender as well to fix their goaltending problems. So
they play the Capitals. They can do the Leafs a favor on Friday regarding, of course, the conference.
So it could be, and listen, I think the only thing that matters right now, besides the President's Trophy, because it doesn't matter about the Eastern Conference, right?
I want my take to be right. I want my preseason take to be right. So for me, I'm gonna.
I guess there is something on the line for you then, but yeah, I think that, you know, the Habs could do them a favor, but the Habs are on the rise right now. It's crazy what's going on in the East. I mean, the Penguins are still kicking around. The Rangers somehow are still hanging around. They've been one of the worst teams since November, so that's pretty interesting. But yeah, I think that I'd rather watch a different playoff matchup. I don't want to see Tampa again. I don't want to see Boston again. I would rather watch something refreshing. And it would be cool if they played a team that hasn't made the playoffs in a bit, so they can kind of show them the ropes of the playoffs. Like, hey, we've kind of been to this dance before. We want to get past the first round finally, so we're gonna step all over you. So I would prefer that, and to slay some dragons as well. I mean, like, you know, with dragons, loose term, but the Montreal Canadiens, that'd be good to avenge 2021, right? And it would be fun, like, Montreal and Toronto, the playoffs. The vibes back then, I know it was still like, you know, there was lockdowns and all this, but
it was crazy. I remember
the vibes were unbelievable.
And my brother hosts Habs Digest, so I'd love to.
It would be insane, yeah. So I'd love that. That'd be cool. And it's definitely, I mean, it's possible. They're right there. They're in the mix. If they move up just one spot, or if the Leafs take over first in the East, it's definitely possible.
It is the most, Jay, probably not. It's just, I don't know. I've been watching Habs games, like when the Leafs don't play and after the Leafs play, like they're playing really good hockey. Is it sustainable? It doesn't really matter if you're a Habs fan, because you're just excited that they're even getting to the point they are. But regarding the Leafs, we're obviously in a different spot. I don't know if any team in the NHL would want to play the Leafs this year. Now, granted, there's always the thing, but they only won, you know, that one playoff series against Tampa a couple years ago. But like, Craig Berube really changed the whole vibe of this team. 11 points up in the Bruins right now. It's the most exciting regular season. Like, each game matters, whether it's because you're trying to win the Atlantic, which is going to be really tight the whole way, whether you're watching Craig Berube's style of play actually work, whether you're doing all these different things. Like, this is the most exciting regular season we've had, and each game matters down to the wire because, I mean, they need to get a favorable matchup here, and obviously winning the Atlantic does that, and that's very true, Eric. We'd have to watch 7, hopefully only 4, but up to 7 games of Lane Hudson head fakes the whole time. So
No, see, that would be fun. Before we move on to 3 stars with Blake Sim, I do think another interesting thing in a playoff series like that against Ottawa or Montreal, right? That might be different this year besides the play style, is I feel like in the past, Keefe would be like Nylander or Matthews or Tavares or Martin, whoever's not going that night, still needs to see the ice because they make the most money and they might give us a chance to win here with like a moment of brilliance, right? I feel like Berube, especially when it comes to playoffs, would be like, oh, Nylander's not skating tonight. He's not seeing the ice. Who's skating? He's going to look down the bench. Lorentz? Okay, if he's skating and he's hitting, he's going to play, right? He's going to give us the best chance to win. So I feel like that is a change that might be with this year's playoffs where Berube is going to take note. Like, I'm not going to sit back and watch us lose. Are you kidding me? Like Babcock and Keefe? No way. Like whoever wants to play is going to play, and I feel like that will be a change come this spring.
I just don't see them losing. Like, not necessarily. I'm not talking about against the Habs. I'm specifically talking about, but
Sure.
even just like a lot of these regular season games, now they could lose the next game. They're gonna lose another game, obviously, but they're playing like tonight was a game where you could chalk it up to okay, they play a few games now, injuries, they're tired, whatever it is, whatever excuse you want to make up, or even just it's just not their night. The shots were 7-19 or something crazy like that, or 7 to whatever. They win the game in regulation, not even overtime. They fight, they keep it close. They throw. Brian Reeves had 4 hits, so I'll give him a little bit of props. You have Steven Lorentz out there throwing his body around, and they get a regular season goal, and then a regular season, again, regulation goal, and they win the game. They scored 3 minutes left without anything, no power play at the end there. Like, I don't know. It's the highest I've been like my confidence level is the highest it's been in a very long time. And that's saying something because, I mean, let's be honest. It's been a lot of Leafs fans have been kind of pessimistic for a while. It's nice to see people happy because the team looks different. We said it way back in before the season started in the summertime. Like the team is going to look different. It's the most exciting regular season, and it's literally like Craig Berube is preparing them for war, which is exactly what he's doing, and it's exactly what's happening, and it's visible.
This is exactly what John Cooper does with the Tampa Bay Lightning. We got to prepare for war, and we have to initiate, or you will fall behind. So Berube's made a big difference this year in terms of, like Dash said, playoff jersey or what jersey you would rock to a playoff game. This guy right here, this guy, John Tavares.
Probably rock my new Willie one.
I like that jersey, the flip side or whatever they call them, the Bieber jersey,
Bieber side, the green side. I do also want a Matthew Nyes jersey as well, and I'm supposed to get a Pacioretty jersey. So by the time it gets in here, he might be retired, but
maybe by the time you get the jersey, he'll be off the team. He'll be a free agent.
Yeah, and I mean they may win a round. I have faith this year. Now they're also coming off of obviously a brutal Bruins loss, but they fought back from 3-1, which is like obviously it shouldn't have been 3-1 in the first place, but like. It is what it is. John, what's up, Francesco Pinto? Taves the player to get. I don't hate it. Like realistically, he's a player that you can get for cheap that has high upside regarding third line center because if he's healthy, the skill is obviously there. He is a future. He's a phenomenal player.
Yeah, no. So that's all. Excuse me. They'll probably be looking at that.
They
like
are probably saying, so.
No, but I mean, like they'll probably invite him, like have a skate, see how you'd fit in, kind of thing. I think that they would probably be one of the first teams in on that. For
and last
sure.
thing before the 3 stars, I'll interrupt you. Do we think that? And type in the chat here. Do you think they go in? And people are talking about it as I'm speaking about it. Do you think they go a bit more? Do you think Brad Childers may be tempted to go a bit more all in now at the deadline because of how, assuming this sticks, because of how electric this team? Like, let's say they continue to play at a 60 win percentage pace up until the trade deadline, which I think is pretty realistic. Obviously, now they're playing like high 70s, low 80s. If they continue to play this way, and let's say they're by March 2nd, whatever the trade deadline is, March 4th, March 3rd, they go in 6 points, the same spot. So 6 points up on whoever the second team is, the Panthers in the Atlantic. Do you think, and chat, let me know, do you think they're more tempted to go for a bigger fish, whether that is, I mean, I'm not going to say a Pettersson per se, but a big fish that comes up that they think will really put this team over the top? Because Brad Treliving doesn't do that historically. He didn't really do it last year. But if this team, this is the last year possibly with Mitch Marner and John Tavares together, like the window, if they, and Chris Tanev's not getting any younger, a lot of these guys, they might push the chips in here. And that's why, if you're a Leafs fan, I think this trade deadline might be the one to watch for the Toronto Maple Leafs, because like if they had Taves, they might go out and go for a I mean, I don't want to say a second line center because you obviously have that down pat, but like
Yeah.
a higher end talent that really, whatever piece they find missing towards that will help them win in the playoffs, I think that's who they could go for.
I think it's going to depend where they are in the standings come like a couple weeks before the trade deadline.
So let's assume
I
they
think
are
that's
now.
going to
Let's
have.
assume they're the same, just prorated all the way. 4 to
Let's
6,
say-
4 to 6 points up on the Panthers for first in the Atlantic.
I think like logically speaking, you go out and get like somebody who's going to make you that much better and put you over the top, right? Because that makes sense. And I think I don't want to scare people. The way I see the Leafs built right now, you got 2 years to make some noise here, like some serious noise. And that third year is going to be tough because some of those guys like Tanev, they're going to be getting old, and Tavares and all these guys. So that's going to be a tough. You could still retool, but you got a real opportunity here this year and next season, but especially this year, just because you know the way that they're playing and what they've built up so far this year. So, but realistically speaking, I just don't think it's in Brad Treliving's DNA. He's never done it. And I just don't know if he's going to, change his ways. I could see them. They're going to make a move. 100%. They're going to make a trade.
Probably. But
yeah. But nothing. I don't know about a blockbuster.
Okay. And you'd also have to figure out who they would need. What would you consider a blockbuster or a high end like guy based off what like
Malkin.
Right. And that's the guy. Like I don't know if he's available, but a player of like if they went out and got Malkin, like that would be obviously a sign of hey, it would be a sign from Brad Treliving saying hey, now is the time. You obviously have Nye's contract coming up. You have Marner's contract coming up. You have Chris Tanev. I still think Chris Tanev got 2 to 3 more years in him alongside OEL. Like I think he'll be serviceable in his third year. Fourth year will probably start to be like, but his game is going to age well just by the nature of it. He doesn't need to be fast. He obviously is physical. I'd be very excited if they got a guy like Evgeny Malkin. And I think there's a real possibility. I think we're going to hear some rumors about it. I really do. I think we're going to, like, he doesn't do it though, naturally or historically. And then you also had to push someone out. So who would you push out if you get, let's say, an Evgeny Malkin, a Bobby McMann? Obviously, if you move everybody down, maybe it's a Connor Dewar that comes out and you move Bobby McMann down to the fourth line. Maybe it's a David Kampf. It would, you'd have to move someone out. But like, if you're going to have Evgeny Malkin, who cares?
I know we're kind of against like the old guy thing. A lot of people want like younger, more effective players, and I can agree to an extent. Like I think Scott Lawton would be really good on the third line, for example. But if you look at the Edmonton Oilers this year, they were like, we can't afford Broberg and Holloway, so we're just going to let them walk. They're going to sign offer sheets. We're going to let them walk, and we're going to replace them with Jeff Skinner, a guy who's never played in the playoffs, and it's worked out horribly. So, but he's younger. He's a good option.
And the Oilers are playing better now.
Yes,
but
yes.
They wouldn't, if they had their time back, they wouldn't do that.
No, they wouldn't do that. Now, you look at the Leafs in that way, don't add a guy like Taylor Hall or another guy like a Jeff Skinner at the deadline because I just don't think they're going to help you as much as people think. I think you need guys who've been there, know how to play playoff style hockey. And I do not think that the Leafs, a lot of people think that they need to add more scoring wingers. I don't think their lack of scoring in the playoffs is because they don't have enough scoring threats throughout the lineup. It's the way that they have been playing. They play on the perimeter. They're too soft. All of that stuff the last couple of years. I feel like this year it's changed. And just by the nature of the way that they are going to play this spring, they will probably score more goals because we're seeing it this year. A game like tonight, you get 2 power play goals and then you get a tip in at the end, right? Like that could happen in the playoffs. That could happen in the playoffs. So
Trocheck Shen become Leafs with a deadline on hot take. That'd be big.
Trocheck would be cool.
We need grit and size for the playoffs. Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, obviously it depends how they do in the playoffs, but like as crazy as it sounds, I'm almost more convinced now than I've ever been that Mitch Marner is going to be a Leaf beyond this season, which is kind of funny. But maybe that's probably a conversation for another day. But like,
Nick, can I ask you a question? Because Jim just brought up a great point. I've been thinking about this recently. I just don't think it gets to this point because I think loyalty.
We'll have a video on that as well, Jim. I think we should have a video on that. But
I think loyalty and what he's done in Pittsburgh will override anything else, like winning another championship just because he already has 3. Would you trade Matthew Nyes in a package for Sidney Crosby? Like, because Sidney Crosby would, I think, like, really help you. Like, he would put you over the top for sure.
My answer is no.
Okay. Because I'm thinking the same.
And
I don't know if you give up the future like that.
I am not, even as future aside, I'm not sure that obviously Crosby is a better player than Matthew Nyes at this moment, but like, regarding what this team needs, I mean, obviously Crosby would be great, but like,
doesn't make sense.
I don't know if the benefit there replacing Crosby with Nyes But that's what Pittsburgh would ask for. Like, Nyes is going to be the cornerstone of this team for the next decade. One of them, of course, alongside Matthews and whoever else. That being said, if they could give up anybody else to acquire, like anyone else to acquire Sidney Crosby, you probably
Easton Cowan, pack your bags, like.
Let me ask the chat this now, since we're in trade talk mode, and this will be, I'm sure, something that happens a lot throughout these streams as these deadline approaches. But Shane, that's what Pittsburgh would most likely ask for, though, at least at the beginning. Like, that's because they had to go both ways. But
it would be that. We live in a world where Matthew Nyes, nobody wants to trade Matthew Nyes for Sidney
Would you
Crosby.
guys do Easton Cowan, Fraser Minton, and I don't even like it might not work with everything, but I'm just gonna throw names out there. Let's say a package and assume everything works. Fraser Minton, Easton Cowan, a first, a second for Sidney Crosby. Make everything work out. Throw whatever you have to do.
So just for Sidney Crosby, you're not getting another piece.
So like throw in.
I would try and get like Brian Rust out of it, maybe, if you can make the salary cap work. But I think in a situation like that, where there's more unproven, like I really like Fraser Minton, but there's more unprovens in this trade scenario.
This is a Josh special part of the stream right now.
Then unprovens than Matthew Nyes, let's say. I feel like you go, hey guys, there's your Uber. It's going to the airport right now.
A lot of no's.
It's going to take you to Pittsburgh.
So you're giving up Cowan, Minton, and a first and a second. Cowan is a Marner replacement. If you're keeping Marner, Cowan is expendable. I'd be fine moving Cowan and Minton for Crosby in a heartbeat. Like, I think
you got 2 years here. I think Sidney Crosby does have.
I don't think the team is doomed beyond 2 years. I think people are going to come up and be. I think the team is still going to be perennial.
I can't even say it.
Perennial. There we go.
It's late.
A perennial. It's 1 a.m. for me. A perennial playoff contender. I think the Leafs will be that. It just, once we're in the Easton Cowan times. But this is a conversation we're going to be having, especially as the weeks approach leading up to the deadline, and because there's going to be games leading up to the deadline. We're going to have post-game streams as the deadline is a week out, 2 weeks out. So it's going to be a little bit, this is obviously a conversation for other days. No, they've been having problems with secondary scoring because they've been trading with all their picks and prospects for old players.
That's fair too.
It's also valid.
I mean, the Nick Foligno trade didn't work out. Trading away Patrick Marleau and attaching Seth Jarvis to that didn't work out. So I would be very cautious with that as well. I'd be cautious with it, but I think if, sometimes if an opportunity like that comes up, like you don't want, I was going to say Washington, but Washington trading for Crosby would be
never happening.
Wild. You don't want like another team in the East that's kind of competing with you to trade for a guy like that, right? There's times where sometimes, like Boston does it all the time. They just scoop up everybody at the trade deadline because they're like, well, we don't want you to have him. So we're going to.
That is another thing too, though. Like, let's say a player becomes available, and we're at the point now with like the NHL as a league in general where they said on the broadcast, like 80% of the teams think they have a chance at making the playoffs. So there's obviously less sellers now, which is healthy actually for the league. Like it's a good thing.
Right.
But let's say we hear a tweet tomorrow or as the deadline approaches, Evgeny Malkin is available for trade. Like they're going to trade him no matter what. How serious do you think the Leafs are in trying to acquire him? Because let's say other teams that are heavily involved are the Washington Capitals, the Florida Panthers, all these teams that the Leafs are going up against. It would be hard pressed for Brad Treliving to at least sit by completely. I don't know if they'd get him. It's not in Brad Treliving's DNA, but like these are questions that have to be accounted for. And it's not very often where the Leafs are in a position where like every other year, it's like, yeah, the core four, we got to rely on them. You make minor additions here and there. This year, it's like, I don't know. You sign guys. You also only have Anthony Stolarz for one more year after this year before having to pay him, assuming more if he wants to stay at Toronto Maple Leaf. You have prime-ish. I'd argue prime right now. Chris Tanev, given what he does, basically prime Chris Tanev. Very good OEL. Like, it's the time is now. We're living in the time regarding, like, I still, under Austin Matthews, I still think there's lots of time. Him, Matthew Nyes, Easton Cowan, Fraser Minton, they'll be very solid. But when it comes, and it'll take a couple years for them at least to get back to really serious playoff contention. Like this team, I don't know what their odds are to win the Stanley Cup, but I'm sure it's up there with, even though they haven't won playoff series. I mean, they're minus 10,000 to make the playoffs, and the Flyers broadcast had it mixed up. They had the Flyers at minus 10,000 to make the playoffs, and they had the Leafs at plus 500. But time is now. I'm not getting too hyped. They need to win a playoff game first, a playoff series first. But
I'm not worried about playoff games. We need to win a playoff series. I know they can win games. And I know they can come back from 3-1 deficits.
And the Rangers are probably going to be a big, possibly a seller as well. And if that opens up, the floodgates open, they have a ton of talent. So it's like, dude, I don't know. I'm imagining a world where they go all in, they acquire someone crazy, and then we all have a celebration on the stream together. That's what my.
If the Leafs want anyone from the Rangers right now, because you want term, I think you go after probably in terms of what the Leafs need as well.
The corpse of Jacob Trouba.
I think you. Hello, Anaheim. I think you go after Trocheck, Vincent Trocheck. Great third line center. He's not a third line center, but he could be a great. No, Zibanejad. That's not a. Zibanejad would be a great acquisition to the Leafs if your GM was Kyle Dubas and your coach was Sheldon Keefe. That would be a great acquisition. And the year was 2019. Fantastic. But
Trouba.
I think it's Trouba. I think
Trouba.
I just signed a new contract. I wouldn't go after him, and he has very tough consistency problems. Like, he scored 2 goals tonight. He hasn't scored in 14 games. So that's tough. He is a bit of a playoff performer. I will say that. But recently, as of late, I should say. But I think Trocheck is the guy you go after. Maybe Will Borgen, if you want another right shot defenseman. Although he doesn't have term. He's due for another contract. But
it's coming to my mind.
When you look at
what do you,
yeah, go ahead.
What do you think that this is kind of a change topic? What do you think the Habs do at, like, it's just random. We're kind of at the, what do the Habs do at this upcoming deadline? Because it directly impacts the Leafs. Because not only, they play them a couple more times, whatever, but if they're trying, because if they buy at the deadline, which is not something I thought they were going to do, they are probably going to position themselves to play the Toronto Maple Leafs or in that bracket of the Eastern Conference and the Atlantic there. I'd like to think they're going to do like a soft buy because they obviously don't want to go all in. They're probably going to be like mid, but it's an interesting conversation. Like, there's a real world where they play each other very early in the playoffs.
I think the Habs are going to do, we've seen it before in the past. Not too many teams. I feel like it's been more cut and dry like the last couple of years. Like, you have your buyers and you have your sellers. I think the Habs this year, if they continue this play and they look like they're going to make the playoffs, they're going to sell off David Savard and a few other pieces. I feel like they'll re-sign Jake Evans, and then they're going to acquire, like, in these trades where they get rid of Savard and stuff like this, they might spend the assets again to get younger, to recoup assets, get a little bit younger, and then just try their hand at the playoffs. I think they're going to sell off, but still try and stay competitive.
Yeah, they can't keep Savard in a lot of their.
No, so they're going to have to still.
They could though. Like, if they're rolling,
bad idea.
They're on a roll. I've seen crazier things. Granlund might be our best option. Interesting.
Granlund could be a great option too. Zucker is playing well in Buffalo. So there's a couple guys.
I like it. I mean, we had a video on it, I think, a while ago.
I would love Luke Schenn again. I know he left, but I think that a lot of the guys that left after that playoff series was because of the way the team was run. So.
Habs are playing just good enough to make the playoffs, have an early exit, and in doing so, destroy their rebuild efforts.
I hope the Habs are buyers, because then they will destroy any hope they have of continuing to rebuild. Yeah, they are playing well.
Insanely.
Well, good goaltending can do that for you. And also getting... How many goals does Laine have?
Like, power play merchant Patrick Laine has he has a lot of goals. And Lane Hudson's playing great too. I'm hearing some conversation about him almost being on the level of Quinn Hughes. Let's settle down a little bit.
Maybe one day.
I think it was it may have
very
been
talented.
It may have been my brother who said that, actually.
Well, there you go. There's some bias.
8 goals in 13 games. So he's been injured.
No,
he's sick.
He's been great. He's going to be a special player, but still young. So let's stop with the Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes, arguably the best defenseman in the league. So calm down.
If you're watching this, Josh or Habs Digest,
I think it's time. Do we still have Blake Sim on the line?
You do, yeah. We longest stream of the year, I think. Yes. Let's rock it. All right, Blake. Type in the chat if you're still there. I don't want to admit you in if you're fell asleep or if anything. I don't want to, because the mic starts on, so I just want to make sure that you're ready to go. So let us know, Blake, in the chat if you're ready to be called in here for the 3 stars. Hate the Habs, but Lane Hudson is a beast. Yeah, I agree. He's playing really well. They're fun to watch, and realistically, like,
I like it when the Habs are more competitive.
Yeah,
I think it's funnier that it's more fun than just beating up on them or they're last place. Like, I think it's better when they're competitive. The games are better, more entertaining. I would love to play them in the playoffs. We might be speaking it into existence, but we'll see.
All right, Blake's ready to get the glasses on. Let's do the lengthy hour and 15 minutes in here. Shout out to all you who are in here. I mean, we still have over 100 people. Over 100. 70. Let's just get one more like to get 75. That was the goal.
Dobish has been really good for the Habs, yes.
Yeah, and Montembeau as well. So it is what it is. All right. Blake, sorry for making you wait so long. All right, Blake, welcome in. We the one time that we have you in for the 3 stars, we go the longest stream I think of the year, minus the watch along. But apologies for that. How you doing?
Good. What's going on, boys?
Loving it. Leafs, the vibes are great. So we'll do our 3 stars. So we'll have Darius start, then I'll go, and then we can let you go, and we'll go all the way through there, and we'll do it that way.
Okay.
All right, Darius. Star, first star, or third star of the night. Chat, type it in as well. Third star of the night.
Third star of tonight is actually going to be, I'm going to go a little bit off the board. I don't know how many times I can put this guy in my 3 stars. It's going to be Philippe Meyer. I like his play recently. Kept it simple again tonight. He was throwing the body around. So he's going to be my 3rd star tonight.
My 3rd star of the night is going to go to Matthew Nyes. Always throwing his body around. Got the tip-in goal. And he's been playing well continuously. Honorable mention from me to Mitch Marner. Blake, who's your 3rd star of the night tonight?
Same thing with you, Nick. Matthew Nyes. He's on fire lately.
Love it. He has been on an absolute tear. We're rocking the same 3rd star. I agree. I mean, again, he's the tip-in was great. And Mitch Marner was kind of celebrating as if he scored it a little bit. But he's throwing his body well. And I'm loving the re-jolted energy of Matthew Nyes following that rough patch when he was moved to the second line. And without Austin Matthews. All right, Darius, 2nd star of the night for you.
This is a tough one for me. I've been debating between a couple guys, but I think I'm going to end up giving it to Matthew Nyes. He's been on a hot streak so far the last couple of games. His confidence is up. Going to the net, driving the net, tips in that puck, obviously on the 3rd goal there to win the game. So I like the way he's playing, and they need him to be a top player for them to be successful in the playoffs. So he's going to be my 2nd star.
My 2nd star of the night is going to Joseph Woll. Very, very, very good game from him. 93.8 save percentage. Honorable mention to Ryan. I was kidding. Great game for Joseph Woll. And I mean, he could get the 1st star, but I have a special place in my heart for the 1st star. But Blake, who's your 2nd star of the night?
My 2nd star is Austin Matthews. He's back, baby.
He is back, and that transitions well into my 1st star. But Darius, I'll let you rock it. I like the list so far, Blake. I like the list. All right, Darius, hit me.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty obvious. Joseph Woll tonight made some big saves, especially late in the 3rd. I mean, it just makes sense to have him as the 1st star. Another really, really good performance. And I don't know where the Leafs would be without him the way that he's playing. And obviously Anthony Stolarz this year. So he's been fantastic. He's my 1st star of the night.
My 1st star is Austin Matthews. Absolutely phenomenal out of him. He's so back. He's never been more back. Actually, that's not true. This season, he's playing the best hockey. He seems fully healthy. The team is fully rolling. And AM34 gets it for me with multiple honorable mentions tonight. But shout out to Philip Myers as well. I've been a big supporter of his over the past little bit there. But Blake, who's your number 1 star? I think I know who it is, unless you go off the board here a little bit.
My number 1 star is Joseph Woll. He's a brick.
Yeah. Spam the emote in the chat. Blake, apologies for making you stay up late. Any final thoughts for the stream or on the game before we wrap it up?
Not really. Just my brother is a Flyers fan, so it was funny to him getting mad at the game, but I had to break in his face a little bit.
Got to, especially it's back-to-back wins now in the span. You guys must have had fun for this week. It's back-to-back games against them. But Blake, have a great night. Thank you for calling in, and we'll do this again. We'll do the 3 stars again sometime. Appreciate the calling.
Yep. Have a good night, guys.
Take it easy, Blake.
Thank you, Blake.
All
Take
right.
care.
I loved it. That was fun. Maybe we should get people in for the 3 stars more often. Jim or Shane or Eric. One of you guys.
Jim.
Yeah.
Jim for sure.
Jim. All right. Take it easy, Blake. Have a good night. Yeah. Maybe get Jim in for Jim. You want to be a part of the 3 stars next game? If you want to be, I kind of like that idea actually.
I think that would be fun actually to include everyone in the 3 stars.
Yeah, it doesn't have to just be one person. We can have a few people in as well. Eric, anybody who wants to call in for 3 stars. If I don't know if Jim's still in here. I think I saw a message. Shane as well. Shane, I think I saw your message earlier. Surprised we were still live. Your new girlfriend demands a lot of attention. Made me laugh a little bit. Shout out to Shane's new girlfriend. Appreciate you still being in here.
Shout out. And appreciate everyone still being in here. And one last thing, I guess, before we go here. Shout out to the pretty much 100 of you. Yes, over 100 of you still in here. It's a late Tuesday night game. Started at 7:30, even though 7:30 start never starts at 7:30. Make that make sense. But what do you think of Michael McCarron? This is from Joshua. He's another guy who's been rumored. I don't think he's a big enough factor for the Leafs. Could probably play 3rd line center, but I don't know if that's something that I think it's something they're considering. I don't know if that's something they pull the trigger on.
Yeah. Jim saying I talked. James, we'll still get you in for your analysis early in the stream, and you can pop back in for the 3 stars at the end, because I do like that idea. Change up the look a little bit. Me and Blake had similar. We both had Matthew Nyes though, so it's the same. Do a poll for the whole chat for 3 stars. Can do that as well. I don't know how we would fully do. We could just do it. For the first
I think
star,
you could
for the first star.
I'm not sure if you could do a poll where you can write in answers, because if you can do that, then I think
Could also just do 3 separate polls, but I think the easy start a Q&A. I mean, we could do that. You could do. Let me test this.
Trying it on the fly here. I think that could be fun. We could just take the top 3 options for everyone who.
Can you, everybody in chat now, because I know a lot of you in here are pretty engaged. I just started a Q&A. I don't know how this works. I don't see your guys' chats anymore. So so maybe this.
Not well. I'll tell you.
So I think now if you click the Q&A up top and you start chatting, you guys. So I think now I don't know.
It's like a subsection, so I think now we can kind of do the 3 stars conversation in this chat, and then maybe
seems kind of useless.
Yep.
But it is, trying new
Great
things.
feature, YouTube. Great feature.
Doesn't work. Yeah, we're closing it. We'll stick with what we have. Which is okay. We're back. I think it works kind of well, but I'd rather just have it in the chat. Interesting though. We can definitely do a poll for the first star. I think that's kind of a cool thing. Just put in a poll. Top 4 players that we think, or even top 6, and you guys just vote. We'll see who's the first star. I don't know how
people
that works.
can write in submissions too. Maybe we change it around, right? We'll play with it, but
could not answer. I closed it pretty quick. I closed it pretty quick. Interesting feature. I thought it was just going to be like you guys can click in and it's a separate thing. When I clicked it, it said I could ask you a question. Oh, great.
Who's your 3 stars of the night? Well,
I don't know. Thanks, Shane. That's fair enough. I don't know how that works. Yeah, I mean, won't be used again. We can get Collins though for the 3 stars, and we'll get the 3 stars more engaged as well, because that was fun. Good call by Blake Sim. I like the call. Blake. First star every night. Gregory Berube. Francisco, thank you. Great show. I saw something from was it Duster? No, it was Crank Baker. Good job, guys. Always enjoy after the game streams. Cheers. Thank you, Crank. And
thanks everyone. Francesco Pinto, Portuguese. Represent.
Darius is Portuguese.
So is John Tavares.
Yep. The streams have been electric. They've been great. And that's obviously the Leafs are electric, and a lot of that coincides, and they will lose eventually. But got to remain positive.
They'll never lose again. They'll never lose again, Nick.
Ever.
New season of Shoresy coming out. We'll never lose again.
Never.
Not for the rest of the year.
All right, everybody. Have a fantastic evening. We'll have a video for you all tomorrow, a big one tomorrow, so make sure you tune into that. Maybe a couple, depending on how things go, because there's a lot of news surrounding the Leafs to cover for you all. But as always, one of the better streams we've had. We're on a roll. The community's on a roll. Everybody's on a roll. And your guys' support has been porks and beans are delicious. That's valid. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic evening. Thank you all. Score predictions for Thursday.
10-0 Leafs.
5-2 Leafs.
I'll go with. Ooh, that's tough. I'll go 4-3.
4-3, 5-2. Leave your predictions in the chat while the outro's playing. We will have a look at them. And anybody who was right, shout yourselves out in the next stream. We will tune it in as well. But have a fantastic evening, Paul, Jim, Duster, everybody who tuned in. Thank you all. Wall or Hill do we Thursday? That's the question. Joseph Wall. All right. Take it easy, everybody. That's my guest. Mark, have a great evening. See you guys later.
Leafs Digest, your daily dose of gold. Stories of the bold where legends untold. From first puck drop to the season's full. Tune in.